Attitude of Gratitude. Michael McLean, NoBullBook.com, coming to you on our last morning in Naples, Florida. We fly out, we charter out tomorrow around noontime home to Canada for the summer at least, and probably into the fall. And today is our last full day in Naples. It's been what I could describe best as an absolutely glorious 4 months in Southwest Florida. It's been, good morning. It has been better than we expected. The entire journey began when I picked my daughter up the day of Christmas break at school. So I drove to school and picked Emery up, and it was the usual 2-week Christmas holiday. And Emery's teacher, who's a incredible person, we're very blessed to have such a outstanding teacher in her life back home. She handed me all of Emery's books and school supplies. And as soon as she did this, everything that had happened in 2020 with the restrictions, the lockdowns, everything that had happened with the schools, with the arenas, with the swimming pools, came flashing back. And this was a year later. So as soon as she handed me Emery's books, I was like, wow, this is, pandemic part 2. And I decided right then and there, and I went home and talked to Krista, that we wanted no part of participating in what was about to happen for the second time in Canada. So I remember driving home, and I actually mentioned completely out of the blue to my daughter Emery, who was in the back seat of the vehicle, I said, what would you think about moving to Florida? And one of the incredible things about children is how courageous they are, how brave they are, how open-minded they are, until adults get on the scene and teach them that they're not those things. So my daughter is 9 years old. She's been in 5 different schools, 3 of them locally, but we've moved for adventure before. And she just said, are you kidding? That would be the most amazing thing ever. So that was her response when I just mentioned it to her on the drive home from school at Christmas. So I walked in the door, and my wife and I had mentioned this before, and we sat by the fireplace and we talked one night before Christmas about plan A, plan B, and a plan C, which we basically, thankfully, never had to use. And as soon as I walked in the door that night after school, Krista was waiting for me, and I said, I have all of Emery's books and supplies, so we're on to plan B. And Krista looked at me and she said, I'm already ahead of you. I've been working on it all day. So to make a short story long, we had planned A was to stay in Canada. Everything would remain open. There wouldn't be any restrictions. There wouldn't be any masking of the children. There wouldn't be any lockdowns, closures, sports and activities, and school and life would operate as it should be. So plan B was that we would move. We're not a tree, right? That we as a family would move somewhere. We hadn't decided where that somewhere was, where Emery could go to school. She didn't have to wear a mask. She didn't have to. She could just be a kid. She could just be a kid. And Krista and I are extremely flexible. We could go anywhere and still continue to work on our businesses and different things like that. So when I walked in and Krista said, well, I've been working all day on Plan B, that's all I needed to know, because my wife is a outstanding researcher. She thrives in that stuff. She loves that stuff. It's not my cup of whiskey, but nonetheless, she's extremely strong in that area. So Naples was a city that kept coming up. And I owe credit to my sometimes private client and friend, Gordon Quinton. Gordon runs a $40 million insurance agency in Rochester, New York, and he also now has a location here in Naples. So him and his wife, Marie, moved to Naples part-time. They're here for at least 6 months of the year now that both their children are out on their own. And they choose to live in Naples for probably a good 8 months of the year. So Gordon kept saying, he's like, Coach, you got to come down here. You got to vacation here. You got to come here. You got to buy a place here, all this kind of stuff. And because I was at home coaching hockey, I was semi-retired, and Emery was in school full-time in Canada. I'm coaching. She's in all our activities. We never even considered moving to Naples. So all that changed with the second round of the China virus and all the rest of this stuff. So Krista had already researched a bunch of homes to rent. She had researched and contacted the schools in Naples. Emery goes to a Montessori school. And it was just crazy how it all came together. Within 72 hours, and I'm not kidding, within 3 days, we had committed to a brand new school in Naples. We had rented the home that we just spent the last 4 months in just an amazing neighborhood. I mean, this place has been a blessing to live here. My daughter rides her bike. We feel safe. She goes to the pool. They've got tennis courts. They've got pickleball courts. And most importantly, there's a lot of great people that live here in this particular neighborhood. So 72 hours, my wife put it all together. Everything from passports to tuition to shipping our vehicle, everything to moving 4,000 miles south and out of the nonsense in Ontario. And literally 21 days later, 3 weeks later, our wheels went up on a jet in Ottawa. It was minus 28 degrees Celsius that day when my daughter and my wife and our dog Clifford and myself walked to the jet. And 3.5 hours later, just 3.5 hours later, we touched down in Naples, Florida. It was 81 degrees and sunny. I remember our dog Clifford jumped off. They opened up the plane, and Clifford ran off and did his business on another tire on the tarmac of some other jet. So that was our introduction to Naples. And Emery was Emery. She was fantastic on the trip. And Gordon Quinton picked us up at the airport and drove us to our new home, which was 10 minutes away. And we were literally in shock because we had been living under restrictions. We had been living under lockdowns for the last 2 years in Canada, a year and a half. No swimming pools, the rinks closed, the schools closed and opened and closed and opened. Teachers wearing masks and visors. My daughter's hands were always just beet red. beet red from the hand sanitizer that they'd put on at the schools. The masking for 7 straight hours in a school. The only time the children weren't wearing masks is when they were eating. And it just went on and on and on. So we were completely sick to our stomachs with it and fed up and wanted nothing more to do with it. So immediately touching down in the land of freedom was an incredible boost of energy. It was an incredible boost of, it was like the ultimate mental vitamin, where we just touched down and it's sunny, it's warm. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was talking about the China virus. Nobody was talking about illness. Nobody was talking about pandemics. Nobody was talking about restrictions. Nobody was talking about lockdowns. And it was such a mental breath of fresh air for myself and my family. And we got to the house and we had this gorgeous pool in the backyard. We had this beautiful lake behind us. And I just sat down in the chair and said, well, this is where I'm going to be reading. This is where I'm going to be sitting. This is where I'm going to be studying. This is where I'm going to be writing for the next 4 months, which I did. I put in hundreds and hundreds of hours in that chair, overlooking the pool and the backyard and the lake. So it's time to go home now to Canada. We live on the lake. We look 4 miles up a beautiful lake in Canada, and we're looking forward to returning to see our family and our friends. Most importantly, we're all looking forward to seeing my mom and dad and Krista's dad. Those are the people that we had a hard time missing. My mom and dad are both 88 years old. They both live independently in the home that I was raised in. However, they're 88, and I always am concerned and I'm always thinking of them. And they're a big part of my daughter Emery's life. And for her not to see them for 4 months is a big ratio of a child's life. She's used to seeing them every 2 or 3 days. They come to her skating, they come to her. Grandpa actually gets out on the ice and skates with the kids at her school at 88. My dad is out on the ice skating with the kids every Tuesday. They come to her hockey, they come to her equestrian and stuff at the horse barn. So they're a really, really big part of her life. So that's something that we've missed greatly. And to me, it's the only thing that I've missed greatly. And we're looking forward to seeing them again when we're home. We enjoyed our time in the land of the freedom and the land of the free so much that my wife Krista and I started looking for homes in Naples. We didn't want to live anywhere else. It wasn't like we were looking for places in Orlando or Tampa or somewhere like that. We just absolutely loved what was happening here in Naples. So what we did is we had a real estate agent who was actually Emery's, she was the daughter of Emery's horse riding coach. And we hired her to look for a home in Naples. This is over the last couple months. And everybody talked about the market and, it's not a good time to buy and all this other stuff. So being a badass contrarian, I knew that it was a good time for us to buy. Everybody was preaching one thing, so we did the opposite. And we did our homework, and about the 11th home that we looked at, we found this beautiful home in a gated community close to great schools. It's got 4 clay courts, 4 clay tennis courts. It's got 2 pickleball courts. It's got a gymnasium, an inside gymnasium with a basketball, with the basketball nets and all that kind of stuff, air conditioned. Fantastic pool, and they actually have a kids area in the pool It's like a water park for children, which is just a nice plus. So we found this home that has a beautiful backyard, and it overlooks the pool, and it's got good neighbors, and it's a really nice, safe place. My daughter can ride her bike, go rollerblading, all of that kind of stuff. So we're very, very happy about that. I just wanted to say that we made an offer on this house a month ago, and we were fortunate enough to purchase it, and it closed the other day. So when we return here in September for a marketing conference, when we return here after Christmas, depending upon what's happening in Canada, we have our very own home to live in. So that's a really big deal for us. That's how much we've enjoyed our time in the United States. That's how much we've enjoyed our time in the good state of Florida. And that's how much we've enjoyed our time in this amazing place called Naples. I just have an attitude of gratitude, and every day at this point in my life, it's something I've been doing for the last couple of years, where I take inventory every day of the things in my life that are already working, that I'm already grateful for. I am like you, I'm always searching for the next thing. I'm always, chasing my goal, my one or two goals. I'm always on my personal mission. I'm always chasing that next win, just like you. That's part of being a businessman and an entrepreneur. There's never enough, and we're never satisfied, and that's what makes us great. But something I have learned in the last couple of years is to take inventory each day, just for 30 seconds. I do it when I'm walking. I do it sometimes when I'm just sitting there enjoying a cup of coffee. And I just think of all the things in my life that are already working that I'm grateful for. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be the tiny things in life, like, the age my daughter's at. I'm grateful that she's 9 years old. It's such an amazing age, as you know, for children. She's still a kid, but she's also growing up. She's also independent now. She can do things on her own, but she's still this amazing kid. Things like the weather, things of where we live. I'm grateful for the vehicles we drive and a roof over our head, clean water to drink. I'm grateful for books. I'm grateful for, technology that I can use as my servant. Now, I'm not my master, but as my servant. I can look anything up, I can find anything, I can create websites, I can send videos to you every single day, I can send emails to you, without me actually even having to learn it. I'm grateful for my incredible team members, Marc-Andre and Leanne, and my two barbers at the barber shop. I'm grateful for my parents' good health and for Krista's dad at home. I'm grateful for incredible sports like tennis and golf and hockey and coaching kids. And I'm incredibly thankful that I'm able to move 4,000 miles south and run my 3 companies that I have now presently from basically a laptop by the pool in my backyard. That's not something that I would have been doing 10 years ago, even 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. I'm grateful for financial independence. I'm grateful for my safe harbor position. I don't need to work anymore. I choose to work because I love my work. My work is my life. It's who I am. The marketing, the coaching, the consulting, building businesses, working with elite, generous, driven men. It's my life. It's who I am. And I work now by choice. And, the wins and losses are the scoreboard, not just the money. So I'm grateful for all these things, all the little things in my life. A cup of coffee in the morning. I'm grateful for these morning walks, 4 miles in the fresh air. And these are a lot of the things that the land of freedom has given us and returned to us. I look at the China virus and the pandemic and restrictions in a different way than most people. I choose to look at it as a top 1%er instead of a 99%er. I look at it as an incredible wake-up call for myself personally, and a wake-up call to have an attitude of gratitude. When all this happened in 2020, we had just won our Barclay Cup hockey championship. I was living life on my own terms at the lake. I pretty much had everything going my own way. I was doing what I want, when I want, with whom I want, on the terms I want. But also, the lockdown and restrictions woke me up to how fragile our freedoms really are, and how we take all of this for granted, myself included. And it was living that year where the school was shut down after Christmas, where we couldn't go skating, where we couldn't go swimming, where we couldn't play tennis, all these things that we took for granted. My barber shop was closed, restaurants, you name it. So it was an incredible wake-up call to me to take nothing for granted. And it was also a wake-up call for me in terms of how secure and stable is my personal and professional life. And I've used this wake-up call time to re-engineer my business, re-engineer my personal life, so that it's all about 2 words, and that's personal sovereignty. Everything I do now, every decision I make, every person I hire, every product I sell, everything I do, walking in the morning, shooting videos, where we live, what I coach, what I don't coach, is all about 2 words: personal sovereignty. And our time here in the good old USA, and Naples especially, has emphasized the importance of personal sovereignty. Our personal health is our greatest wealth. There's no question about that. I understand that, and we all have in my family a good understanding that health is our greatest wealth. But secondly to that is our personal sovereignty, and those two go hand in hand. You cannot have personal sovereignty, you can't have freedom or autonomy, you can't have any control or any independence unless you have good health. And when I say good health, I'm talking about vitality, I'm talking about good energy levels, I'm talking about physical and mental health, to do things that you want to do. So health is the greatest wealth, and it's all about personal sovereignty for me. I just want to mention how grateful we are for being welcomed in this amazing country. In my biased opinion, we live in the 2 greatest countries in the world, the United States and Canada. Easily, not even close, the 2 greatest countries in the world, Canada and the United States, to raise a family, to build a business, to invent, to create, to play, to work, to live. There's nowhere place. We've been many countries, my wife and I, all over the world, and those are incredible experiences. But they're experiences that show us that we already live in the greatest 2 countries in the world. I'm incredibly thankful that we have been so welcomed here in Naples, where we can hop on a plane and arrive in a brand new country 3.5 hours later and we meet so many incredible people. We literally had never been to Naples before. We had never been to this city before. We had lived for a month in Fort Myers. We had lived in Sanibel Island. We had lived in the state of Georgia for short periods of time, but we had never visited and never lived in Naples before. So when we touched down after 3.5 hours on February 1st, we didn't know one person here beside Gordon Quinton and his wife. We didn't have any friends. We didn't know anybody at the school. And if you fast forward that to today, which is, almost the 4 months, we have met so many incredible friends, incredible neighbors. This is an amazing neighborhood. My daughter has all kinds of new friends at her school. My daughter has friends here in this community. I have met so many people through playing tennis up at the courts. I've been able to spend some time with Gordon Quinton. It's just been an incredible experience in terms of meeting great people. And it's bittersweet leaving here. And if we hadn't bought a home, it would be even tougher because I wouldn't want to leave. But the fact that we now have a home here, kind of a root situation where, okay, we own something here, that makes me feel better, because today and tomorrow is very bittersweet, because we've literally had the time of our lives here for the last 4 months. And because of that, it's difficult to pack up again and leave. Now, we're very excited to return to our dream house. We built our dream house on Audie Lake 11 years ago. My desk is in the peak and I look up 4 miles of our gorgeous lake. I see from photos we have our boat in the water, our jet ski is there, and everything has opened up at home because of the weather. So the children no longer have to wear masks at school. A lot of the nonsense has finally subsided for now, but we'll have to keep an eye on that into September when the climate changes, things get cooler, and the flu season returns. My wife and I will not hesitate for a second to use Plan B here in Naples, because that's what Plan Bs are for. And we will not hesitate to execute our right to freedom. And our freedom being, we now have 2 homes in 2 countries. We have a passport, we have residency in Canada, we have a passport to be in the United States for 6 months at a time. I'm going to be working on a green card. I'm thinking of transferring my consulting and coaching business here to the United States, where of course it's certainly in Florida more tax friendly. And that's the way money moves. Money moves to where it's appreciated. Money moves to where it's respected. And money is not respected. Business is not respected. Entrepreneurship is not respected in Canada or in Ontario. So, people like me are not that uncommon. We're moving, and we're moving our money and our businesses to places where you're welcome, where it's respected, where it's appreciated. And that's just the law of attraction. So that's it from Naples. We're actually packing up today at noon, and then we're spending 1 day on the ocean. My daughter wants to spend the day today at the beach. So we're gonna spend the entire day at the beach, something I haven't done since I got here. And that's a big sharpening the axe day for Daddy. While the girls are on the beach, I'm in my chair reading and having a nice nap and a good lunch. And that's it. So I think I've shot something like 174 straight videos. Ever since I've been here, I've never missed a day with a video, not one. I've been shooting these videos since Thanksgiving, and I haven't missed a single day. but I've literally documented every day here in Naples as a byproduct of shooting you a video every morning. So every day I've been in Naples, I've shot a video about something else. And you can check out all those videos by subscribing to this channel. If you don't have a copy of my brand new book, we can remedy that problem at nobullbook.com. That's below. My book is How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in Business and in Life. It's 25 rules for living life and doing business on your own terms. It's $19.95, which is pocket change for a badass millionaire. You spend that on sugar, coffees, or lunch. And I will pay to FedEx it to your house or to your office. It's a real book. I don't do the ebooks, the Go Fetch PDF books, Kindle. I don't do any of that online stuff. I write and I sell real books. So you can also get the audio version as well. So if you want to read, great. If you want to listen, great as well. nobullbook.com. If you're interested in applying for my new world building coaching program, it's an 8-week sprint coaching program. You can listen to some of the testimonials below in the PS in the email. You can apply at badassmillionaire.com/apply for one of the spots. I'm going to be opening up my brotherhood next month. That's it from Naples. I really wanted to emphasize and to get this on tape how much my wife, my daughter Emery, and myself appreciate being welcomed into this amazing country, and how this has been a complete and utter leveling up for us in terms of environment. I thought I was doing really, really well despite the fact of what was going on in Canada. But you don't realize about leveling up and taking your life and your business to the next level until you move into a more positive environment. It's really that simple. Like, you can fight it every day with reading and walking and exercise and writing and journaling and goal setting. But at the end of the day, our environment is so, so critical. If you're living in a community, a town, a city, a state, a province, anywhere that no longer serves you, just like the great Dan Kennedy said, "Hey, Richard," King Richard of the Gate. He's my favorite guard guy. He works here from 6 a.m. till 3 p.m. King Richard. He's from Boston. And I talk to him all the time about the Bruins and the Red Sox and the Celtics. He's pretty excited about the NBA Finals. But he's in his 70s, that guy. And I'll go on this side. Thanks. And he's in his 70s, and he's a guy who loves his work. He has a pension, and I said to him, why do you? He says, I love the people, I love working the gate. So there you have it, a guy who loves his work. He's like Tom Brady. Can't stay retired for more than 41 days because he loves his work. Loves his work. My dad worked until 85 years old. My dad, Frank McLean, retired 3 years ago. Reluctantly, actually. My mom wanted him to keep working. But everyone's like, your dad worked till 85. I'm like, yeah, loved his work. Loved his work. It was part of his life. Worked 65 consecutive years in business before he finally decided to settle down and go spend a little bit more time at home. He's been busy and doing great ever since. But it's just amazing when you love your work. So just finally, what I was talking about there at the end before I started rambling about something else is environment matters, and there's no vaccination that can overcome that either. Like, if you're in a negative environment, you need to change that environment. It's never going to work, and you're never ever going to be able to fight that. It's like negative associations with people and things. Those things are more powerful than your willpower. Negative people, bad habits, you have to cut the rope. you need to use the swift sword with things that don't serve you, because there is nothing more powerful than association. You and me, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. But environment is right up there next in importance. And I felt the energy shift as soon as those jet tires hit the tarmac. I'm like, wow, everything here was more positive. Everything here was more pro-business, pro-entrepreneurship, the level of mental health. Everybody here is so friendly. Everybody here is talking about, they're not talking about lockdowns and restrictions. They're talking about the beautiful weather. That's another thing. I don't care who you think you are, whether you think you're Iron Man, you know, you're affected by, you know, no sunshine and things like this. But like the great Dan Kennedy said, we're not trees. We can move. We can move. So if your environment isn't serving you, move. It doesn't matter whether you move down the street or move away from somebody, or your children are involved with the wrong kids. Dan Leonis, the great Dan Leonis, Einstein Blueprint, taught me that one when they moved to Naples from New York City, because his daughter had some friends in New York City that were a negative effect, and they had tried to curate them, to cut the rope. That hadn't worked. So him and his wife, Inez, moved. They packed up the family and they moved from New York to Naples, and they've been here ever since. Bye-bye bad friends. She's met some really new people, some really great friends, and it's all a different ball game. So the same can be for you or for me. If your environment, instead of bitching and moaning and complaining, we can move to a place that's pro-business. We can move to a place that's tax-friendly. If you like the mountains, move to the mountains. If you like the water, move to the water. If you like peace and quiet, move to the peace and quiet. If you love the hustle and bustle of the city, move to the hustle and bustle of the city. If you like, you know, whatever it is, if you like snow, move where there's snow. If you like heat, move where there's heat. If you like the desert, move where the desert is. And pick these places that support our business and our entrepreneurial drive. That's the one thing, if I put this all together, is the energy in Naples is something that we're thriving on. The energy in Naples is pro-business, pro-relentless, get after it. Life is a gift, pro-life is a gift, pro-attitude of gratitude. Waitresses, waiters, people cutting our grass, our tennis instructors, everybody just, really positive attitude, and, environment is responsible for a lot of that. Definitely. So that's it. We're off to the hotel, and then it's wheels up tomorrow from the Naples airport all the way home. I'll shoot a video tomorrow, hopefully from the airport. Not hopefully, I'll shoot it from the airport. And I just wanted to shoot this attitude of gratitude video to say thank you to all my American friends, all of my clients, all my book buyers, everybody in the area of Naples. And then finally, I wanted to let you know that you can do the same. You can put something together in 3 days like my wife did and literally move 4,000 miles. You don't have to charter a jet. Car will work just fine. You can go to school, your kids can go to school somewhere else, and you can move your business and you can move your home and all those different things. So that's it for today. If your environment isn't serving you, if the people in your life aren't serving you, if your habits aren't serving you, and if where you live isn't serving you, move. Sack up and move. I can't recommend it highly enough. Adventures are amazing, especially hand-picked ones. That's it, Michael McLean, NoBullBook.com, on my final walk for now in Naples. 2 words that changed my life and 2 words that can change your life. God bless America, and be relentless.